see my Zupa. That purple Zupa. Oh, there it is. Yeah, thanks.
You gotta drink some water and take a deep breath.
Let's drink out of those. Thank you. Nice big crowd today. Yeah, 'cause the pending snow, huh? I got it. She got it for me. Ye anilo prema dana koruna prachor Hey no Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Thakur Kahamura Swarup Rupa Kahasanatan Kahadasa Raghunatha Patita Pavan Kahamura Pata Yuga Kahakaviraj Eka Kale Kota Gela Goda Nataraj Pasane Kutibo Mata Anale Pashibo Gauranga Gunera Nidhi Kota Gele Pabo Se Sabasan Gira Sange Ye Koilo Vilas Se Sangana Paya Kande Narotamadas
Yeyani lo prema dana Koruna prachor Hey no Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Thakur Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Jaya Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Asasata Shishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Asasata Shishimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Anantakoti Vaishnavinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Sekaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Yamuna Devi Ki Ganga Devi Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tosi Devi Ki Vrindavandam Ki Mayapur Dham Ki Sankirtan Yagya Ki Gaur Premananda the divine disappearance day of His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I don't need it. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Gena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Amarendra Prabhu was scheduled to give class today, but he has suddenly fallen ill. So I hope you're not too disappointed. I know I'm disappointed, but okay, so today there is so much about Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, so we won't focus too much on his early life, but since it's the disappearance day, more about his preaching movement. And the thing is, at the time when Srila Bhakti Siddhanta appeared, India was under British rule, and there was very much disregard for Hinduism, you could say. And the British really put it down and mocked it, and and like that. So there was a lot of opposition, but even more than that were all of the Apasampradayas. There were so many Sampradayas which are still existing. So Apa means against, like aparad, against Radha, really, against service. So these aparadas, there's 13 major, and then altogether 26 sub, but then more than that. So that's just all these deviant philosophies that sprouted up after the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, so Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was very much preaching against these, and of course he taught his son, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Now, Bhaktivinoda was a magistrate for the government. He was a high court judge, and so he one time he had a dream. He was residing at Puri. He had lived in different places, but at this time he was living at Jagannath Puri, and he had a dream, and Lord Chaitanya said, I have not brought you here just to hear court cases, but to establish Krishna consciousness. And then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, when he woke, he said, okay, well, if you want me to do it, it's not an easy job, so you need to send somebody from your personal staff to come. So already he had, I think maybe at least 6 children at that time. And so when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta came, and when he was born, we know that when he was just young, about 6 months old, the Rath Yatra cart, if you go to Jagannath Puri, you can see the house that Bhaktivinoda Thakur used to live in on Grand Avenue near the main road. And so the cart, Jagannath's cart, stopped. It stopped right in front of their house, and the cart would not move. And the cart stayed, or wasn't it overnight even? It wouldn't move, the cart. So anyway, the wife of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhagavati Devi, she took advantage, being the magistrate's wife. She took infant Bimala Prasad, he was called. We know at Jagannath Puri, there's a deity of Bimala, or Durga Devi, and all the prasad offered to Jagannath is then offered to her. So they named him Bimala Prasad, and she placed the child right in front of Lord Jagannath, and his garland fell around the child. And so just from that, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur knew this is that ray of Vishnu whom I prayed for. I prayed for a very special soul to come and assist in the preaching mission. So and then his father trained him. His father really is his primary guru, was his strong Shiksha guru, and he taught him japa, gave him japa beads, gave him a Korma deity to worship at a very young age, and now by the time he's only 7 years old, he knew the entire Bhagavad Gita, every verse, and also, could explain every verse as well. Not only knew the 700 verses in Sanskrit, and so what? I know he's saying you have to go to the disappearance, but not yet. But yeah. All right, so that's what I said. I wasn't going to spend much time on this early, but such an incredible memory that in his whole life, anything that he read, he would remember it. Even 50 years later, he would remember what he had read previously. And so one time, so you know how he wanted to accept initiation, but this was let me think, before his initiation, let me see if no, maybe not. I can't remember. Yeah, I think it must have been after. So what happened, there was this Vishva Vaishnav Raj Sabha. So like I talked about these opera sampradayas and the opposition a little bit, but then even to this day, like since time immemorial, there's been this conflict between Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, right? The smarta Brahmanas and the Brahmanas who, Jati Brahmanas who think only if you're born in a Brahmin family can you possibly be a Brahmin and no other way. So they decided, and this was the mediator was the temple, you could say president or of the Radha Raman temple. So they had this huge debate, and that debate was between the Vaishnavas and then the Brahmanas. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was deputed to speak, but he couldn't speak. He felt very ill. He was actually in bed, but also there's other reasons, because his guru, his own Diksha guru, was of the opinion that you have to be a Brahmin. So he's like, how can I go and speak against what my guru is professing? And so he, so what happened, he was just, feeling really distraught about it, that I can't go and present the Vaishnav, defend Vaishnavism. So Bhakti Siddhanta, he wrote, you all know how he became initiated. Bimala Prasad became a Bhakti Siddhanta. So he wrote a whole paper and presented it to Bhaktivinoda while he's in bed, very sick. And when he read that, he was like, now Vaishnavism is saved. Now I feel confident that it is in the hands of a proper personality, who can defend it. So at this assembly, I'm not sure how long, but it was a big assembly, where the public had come to gather and hear, and there were all these speeches, one after another, of very prominent Brahmana preachers and leaders of different mats, and they presented how Brahmanism is superior in every way. So then it was Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati's turn to speak. And when he spoke, what did he do? He glorified the Brahmins. They were like, yes, he understands. And he just went on glorifying the Brahmanas. And then his conclusion was, and if you're very fortunate, then in a future birth, you can take birth as a Vaishnava. And they jumped up on their feet, roaring like, how can you say this? But the public, they thought it was wonderful. And the public, they rushed to touch his feet, and the police had to hold them back and take him into a room in the back and say, here, they put his feet in a bucket of water. Then they went out and just threw the water on people's heads, because everyone, all the public wanted to take the dust of his lotus feet. So we see such dynamic, how just from a young age, so very, very important preacher. Now, he finally did take initiation from Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, although he's erudite scholar, but Gaur Kishore Das Babaji was illiterate even. And somebody asked him one time, how can you be such, like that, so scholarly? And then you took initiation from him. They were on a boat. It was at the time, he took a vow, same as Bhaktivinoda Thakur had done. I believe he had the same japa beads, and he chanted 1 billion names of Krishna. It took like about 9.5 years to do that, because chanting all day, and and not only just sitting down chanting, he's still engaged in writing and preaching. So he was going on a preaching engagement across the river, and now he's living in Navadvip, and so and in Mayapur. So when he goes, the person asked him that question: how is it that he's your guru? And he said, well, you see this boat that we're on? It's a motorboat. Do you know that the battery, it's just a small battery, and that battery's powering this whole boat? So similarly, my guru is the power. He's the battery behind everything I do. And he said, I was so proud of my erudition, and not only that, of my righteousness, that I always was proper, did everything properly, and all the qualities of a Brahminical person. He said, but he smashed my pride to pieces, put me in my place, and let me know that I'm just so fallen and so insignificant. So he was very much dependent on his gurus, Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. And when Gaur Kishore, he was getting ready to leave this world, he said how I would like to have my samadhi in Mayapur or in Kulia, and if that's not available, then just take my body, tie it with rope, and drag my body through the streets of Navadvip. So when he actually passed, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, didn't have that. There were others who had that body, because that would be a source of revenue, people coming to pay respects. And so these so-called, devotees, they said, this is his desire, that we drag the body through the streets. And Bhaktisiddhanta is like, are you kidding me? This is like due to his great humility, but even like how Lord Chaitanya would carry him and would take the dust of his feet even. And then how he said, I'm the only disciple. He was the only initiated disciple of Gaur Kishore. And he said, I should be the one to execute his samadhi. And he said, if any of you, have not had illicit, you don't have to raise your hand or anything, but if any of you have not had illicit connection with women in, what was it, the first, I don't know, the first was some months, 3 months, then you can, and then if anyone has not in the last 3 weeks, in the last 3 days, and one by one, everybody walked away. So he was able to execute that. Now, so when his guru left, it was very close. He left, and then it was about a year and a half later, then Bhaktivinoda Thakur left. So he was, and again, just remember the opposition that they're up against. And so when they left, he was feeling so despondent that how can I, so after he made the samadhi for his guru, then he said, who will chastise me? Let me see, I wonder who left first. Yeah, I think, first it was Bhaktivinoda Thakur left this world in June of 1914, then Gaur Kishore 16 months later. And he was feeling really despondent. He was like, he kind of withdrew, and he stopped going out preaching. He stopped writing because he was always writing. You know that he wrote every day. He wrote, and he was fluent in like 6 languages, and he wrote in Bengali. His mother tongue is Oriya, being born in Orissa, and then of course Hindi and Assam and other South Indian languages and English as well. He wrote in all of those languages every day, and so he stopped all of this, and he said, "Now, who will chastise me to make me understand the truth as it is?" He said he just felt hopeless. He said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm just gonna keep to myself, because to whom will I show my articles and books?" Because his father would edit for him and give him different advice, So who am I going to show them to? Who will take pleasure in my writings and encourage me to continue? Who will take pleasure in hearing about the preaching work and the increasing splendor of the Dham and our service to it? So he was not only no longer going outward, he stopped even eating and sleeping, and he engaged in intense bhajan. And but he just, his heart reverberated with the order of Bhaktivinoda Thakur that he not renounce ever service to Mahaprabhu, and he saw, had great compassion for the people that dying without this information. So he just was feeling that way, and then one night, he's thinking, how can I do this? How can I preach? And then in a dreamlike revelation, so a spurti, not a sleeping dream, he saw approaching him from the east the whole Panchatattva and the 6 Goswamis and Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, and numerous other great devotees of Lord Chaitanya. He saw them coming right in front of him, and they said, "Saraswati, why are you worrying? Begin the task of establishing Shuddha Bhakti, distribute Gauravani universally, expand service to Guru Nam, Guru Dham, and Guru Kam. With unbreached enthusiasm, broadcast Bhakti Siddhanta. We are eternally with you, ready to help. The support of unlimited people, immeasurable opulence, and boundless scholarship awaits the blessing to serve your mission. All will manifest when required. Come forward with full strength to distribute the message of Mahaprabhu's Prema Dharma throughout the globe. No worldly hindrance or menace will be able to obstruct this undertaking of yours. We are forever with you." So, having this incredible revelation, the next morning he was like ready to go. Like, imagine his disciples that were serving him personally, how they felt seeing their vibrant guru withdrawing and not interacting, not even wanting prasadam or anything. How sad they must have felt. And now they saw his face refulgent in happiness. And right away he said, "Get my book," and right away started writing again and preaching again. And preaching he did with so much opposition. Yes, okay, I know. I'll tell the disappearance. Don't worry. My husband's very much concerned we're going to miss the highlight, because today is the disappearance day. And, like how they had a Braj Mandala Parikrama one time, and when they went, they were horribly beaten. People they even if they tried to get a rickshaw, they saw the rickshaws filled with bricks because imagine these oppositional groups hired gunjas, is that what you call them, to harass them and to beat them. Even children and women, they were throwing bricks at them. And one of Bhaktisiddhanta's Rihasta disciples, they just knocked on the door, said, please let us come in. He said, change clothes with me. You wear the white clothes, I'll take your clothes, because they'll think that I'm you, and if they're gonna attack, and so that he would be like in disguise. But it was horrible. And then when they went on Parikrama, all of the major temples, they closed their doors. They wouldn't allow them in, because he initiated people from non-Brahmin families, and they wouldn't allow them. Then finally, the Radharaman temple, they allowed, and they had a mediation, and like Sridhar Swami, because he was born a Brahmin, so they could accept him. And so he actually was a spokesperson with all the leaders of these temples, telling how Vaishnavas are Brahmins automatically. So then eventually they were allowed. So, there's only, more than half the room here are over 70 years old, but Bhaktisiddhanta was relatively very young, only 62 years old, when he decided to leave this world. With all of his incredible, he was feeling like what happened to my math? Like his math in only short time established 64 temples. We see what it's like to establish one temple, 64 temples, and massive preaching, brahmacharis going out every day preaching, and he himself. And then somebody said to him, what happened to your math? It seems they've lost the edge a little bit. And he said, that's right, I see. They cook, and then they take prasadam, and then they wash pots, and then they sleep. And then they cook and wash pots, take prasadam, and sleep. And he thought, he was really discouraged that anyway, when the preaching mood is lost, And so he actually, he feigned sickness, like he became ill for some months, and it could have been, more internal illness, in other words, like this kind of discouragement and all. But he thought of winding up his pastimes at a relatively young age. And let me just see what page that's on. Let's see, winding. All right, so 111. All right, so there were hints of it, hints that he was going to leave. Through his lectures and all. He said, for several years